Well, Darcy, welcome to Market Movers. I'm your host, Vincent. I'm really happy to have you here today. A little bit about Market Movers. What we do is interview people, talk about their businesses and their stories to hopefully inspire our audiences together. That person out there that wants to start a business or they want to get into marketing, we just kind of give them that little insight. So today, I want to introduce you and talk about your story and your business, Explore Digital.
Yeah.
So if you can go ahead and give us a little bit of background about yourself and how you got started in marketing.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So I got started in marketing in about 2011. Like that's around the time. So I graduated from college and got a couple of jobs out of it. And essentially kind of I started in a coupon website. Making coupons, and posting them online, and then we'd get searched on Google and whatnot. And then I also went to work at another agency after that. Unfortunately, the coupon website didn't work out. We kind of got blacklisted by Google, so I saw the worst of black hat SEO and learned from that. I didn't even know. And then I went to another agency and really that's where I started my journey of learning about marketing. And I just kind of became obsessed with it because it was it's a new type of marketing, right? Back in 2012-ish. So that's like 13-ish years ago. Google Maps was getting really big. I remember they were making lots of changes, and I got super obsessed with directory listings, Google Maps, and also YouTube advertising. And I was the head of YouTube digital marketing for the agency. And I was kind of coming to the table with metrics. I was also determining, hey, does this work? For our clients at the time, it was like chiropractors and veterinarians that I was helping. And it helped with brand awareness, but not as much lead generation. So I learned everything that I could about digital marketing. And I even, back in the day, I had Google Reader, which basically would just take articles about the industry and put them directly in my inbox so I could learn everything I could about it, because I became obsessed with the fact that I could really make a difference in people's businesses. So in the agency, essentially, yes, I had some mentors. I also worked there with my husband as well. And I just kind of got obsessed with the fact that I could truly make a clear difference for people by just getting them to the top of Google. Like, you get them to the top of Google and all of a sudden their business is thriving. They're telling you their success stories. And that's kind of what I became addicted to, was helping businesses thrive. And while I was at that agency, I started going to Pilates classes, and they were just down the street from my house. And I started working with the original founder of Club Pilates. And, the first meeting that we had, she handed me a check because I said, hey, I can fix your directory listings. And almost overnight, she felt that difference. She had about 4 studios at the time. Now they have, I think, 200 plus studios now. I think they even have more than that now. But I really, truly knew that I made a difference in her business, and I started helping her with social media marketing, SEO, paid advertising on Google, and just slowly started to expand it. And it got to a point where it got to a point where it was more than part-time. So I had to make that next jump, and I ended up starting my own agency and worked with her for at least a year and a half, getting the franchise off the ground. And it was exciting. I was working with the franchisees. I was working with her on the corporate marketing, and we were just leveling everybody up, and everybody was starting to see that ROI very quickly. So building brands and building traffic and customers, into businesses, essentially, that's what I love to do. Yeah. So then I kept building the agency, essentially, and now we're, 22 of us at this time, and we do all sorts of different types of digital marketing, but we've helped build different franchises, from the starting point of them, coming into fruition to, now I think we have a franchise that we work with over 90 locations, and we're overseeing, I think, about 30 or 40 of them. We love building franchises, but we also, at the end of the day, I love building businesses that make a difference for people, and I like growing that with them. It's exciting.
Yeah, when you own your own company, it's like you have to have that synergy with the client, right?
Yeah.
And the passion that you have for marketing and helping people grow probably really exudes just in your work and what you do naturally. So that's really cool to hear, you know. I mean, you meet a lot of marketers nowadays that I feel, you know, are just, you know, yes man, you know, and people that just, you know, say they could do it all, but you really like honed in on what you felt like you enjoyed.
I've heard that. I've
Yeah.
definitely heard that. But yeah, no, I think, you know, there have been times where I've told clients yes,
Yeah.
and then it's bitten me in the butt. So
Sure.
now I'm a lot more transparent in that I let them know what's realistic. But
Okay.
most of all, when I'm taking on a new client or, you know, I'm talking to a potential new client, I ask them a lot of questions about their business to understand, hey, are you ready for marketing? Because some clients aren't. Some clients aren't ready for a whole digital marketing campaign. Even yesterday, I spoke with somebody that they had goals that I felt could be achieved without digital marketing. And I'll tell them that because, you know, it can be it's a journey. It's a journey to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll make sure that that business has a proof of concept in place and that they know what they're doing as a business owner and that they have a concept that works and is profitable before we take them on as a client. Because
So you audit their business plan, or like
I do.
Yeah.
We actually do audits a lot of times, but
Yeah.
not necessarily their business plan, but more of their marketing, their presence,
Okay.
their digital presence. And then I do ask them business questions to understand and make sure that it's a good fit, ultimately.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's always great to have like a strong onboarding process or discovery process, actually.
Yeah. And that actually is probably the biggest pitfall when it comes to marketing is going in and saying, we're going to do all these things, but not really taking the time to listen and clearly onboard. Because I've started with clients only to find like, oh, you have an email list of 10,000 people that we didn't know about. We should be doing email marketing.
Yeah. That's like your whole crux
Yes.
of a business right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You
And
create a
most
whole lookalike audience, everything.
yeah. So, and most companies, I want to say they underestimate the power of email marketing. So I've been actually working with a lot more clients on that more than anything lately.
Yeah.
Because, you know, new client acquisition, like finding new customers, that's actually the most costly activity that a business can undergo.
Yeah. Can you talk about your, I guess, strategy? Do you work with businesses to help them find more businesses, or is it mainly like businesses helping to find consumers?
Oh, like business to business versus B2C.
Yeah,
We
or
do
you do
both.
both?
We do
Okay.
both.
That's
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all depends. And I have to kind of, I'm doing an onboarding right now with a lighting company, and they have a very specific way that their marketing channel works. So I've been kind of taking that on to understand how can I apply some of our digital toolkit essentially to strengthening their sales and their business. And so we have a strategy.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your company leans more towards B2B or B2C? Or is it like pretty
I
much
want to
cut
say that we've
in the
had
middle?
seasons
Yeah.
of different types of businesses that we've worked with, because I want to say that like pre-COVID, we actually had a lot of e-commerce folks with us, and that actually helped us definitely survive.
Yeah.
And then right now, I've actually noticed that more B2B and more lead-based businesses have been coming to us recently.
Can you kind of explain that to the audience? Like, what is a lead-based type of strategy?
Yeah, so like e-commerce is essentially when, you know, somebody's buying directly and you actually get the instant gratification of seeing the sale register, which is super cool. But then with lead generation, so lead generation is anything like, you know, a landscaping company getting a lead, you know, from a homeowner that wants their landscape done. Or it can be, you know, a wealth advisor that, you know, is getting a lead, you know, for a new wealth advising client, those types of things. So that's lead generation. And it comes in the form of many types of, you know, lead acquisition. So sometimes it's a form, sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's an appointment scheduled. And definitely the appointment scheduled is the way to go if you can.
Yeah. Because how do you track all that, I guess, for a client? Is that all just like through like your back end or? their back end?
Oh, yeah.
Or,
So we utilize Google Analytics, we
Yeah.
utilize Google Tag Manager, and then we'll also build actually custom reports for the client to be able to see how is everything going, what's our spend on Google Ads and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yes, tracking and metrics are really, really important in order to be able to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I want to go back to the email newsletter topic because I feel like it's a strong topic too. Having that owned thing, right, as a company is very important. Like, because what happens if, you're on social media one day and you get banned or shadow banned or blocked or something, you know what I mean? So at least if you have your email newsletter, you're always communicating to that core audience.
You own that audience, essentially. And I don't mean it like you own the audience, but like you can reach the audience.
That's what content's called, right? The own part of content.
Exactly. I was actually just having this conversation yesterday with somebody who said they have a very large LinkedIn audience. But the platform for him doesn't feel like it used to, 10 years ago when he created that audience. And so I asked him, because he wants to release some new content, I asked him, like, do we have an email, audience that we could reach out and promote our new book? And he said no. And that was a big piece. And he explained why, and that's all well and good. It's just that the email portion allows you, no matter what, to be able to reach your users. And ultimately what we've all learned over the last, 5 years maybe, is that social media platforms are, rented land, essentially. So don't build too much of your home on rented land, is what I've kind of learned. So the website is still very important. The email newsletter is still really important because that land shifts and moves. And yes, you can get shadow banned. So I noticed that a lot of content creators on TikTok have kind of smartened up and they've started to diversify the land that they're on and also build their email newsletter.
Do you feel like it's a special time in, social media marketing because all the platforms are kind of accepting the same type of content now, like short form video content? I feel like rules.
Yes.
In my perspective. And I feel like if you post it just on all of the channels, like LinkedIn, Shorts, TikTok, Reels, like you can post the same video now.
You can.
And it kind of does the same thing. Whereas maybe a couple years ago, you had to kind of have a separate strategy maybe for each, at least communication-wise.
Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah.
To some extent. I've noticed that, things that you see on TikTok will also appear on Reels, will also appear on Shorts. I even see similar videos on Substack now.
Okay.
And they're kind of just all being syndicated almost in the same way. But I will say that, YouTube, kind of like the normal YouTube videos and the Shorts, those differ.
Okay.
Significantly.
How do they differ?
Well, I would say that the Shorts, they're meant to be short form, but even portrait is, it seems to be the big difference is portrait versus long, you've got your landscape.
Sure.
But I think that the landscape video is almost more for TV consumable content. The videos that do the best on YouTube typically, or at least last time I was at a conference and learned this, is 5 minutes and above. Because people view YouTube videos in landscape as more episodic content versus Shorts are kind of more social media, behind the scenes content. That's kind of how I see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you integrate that into your client's strategy? You help them develop that type of content or point them in that direction?
We
usually?
definitely can. I want to say that a lot of businesses are still fairly new to video.
Sure.
I have brought up video to so many businesses, and they usually want to exhaust all options before committing to video.
Yeah,
is the only thing. But I have different strategies for different types of clients, essentially.
Sure.
So I always do get excited when I have a client that's open to video.
Yeah.
I always do get very excited because I have optimized YouTube channels, and it's so much fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you reverse engineer the client before you talk to them? You look at what they're doing right, and then you kind of go in and optimize what they could do better. How does it work?
A lot of times, I do want to understand what are you already doing?
Yeah.
Because it's really different or difficult to build what I consider net new processes, right? Because that's what we're doing at the end of the day, we're building new process for clients to participate in, and we want to be realistic about what the client can do.
Yeah.
And so if they're already doing some form of video, yes, absolutely. I'll take a look at what they're doing, what they could do better to get more views, and more reach essentially, and then I'll give them pointers. And that's what a lot of clients want and need. But again, I'll relate it to SEO, PPC, video, video and email strategy essentially. And we'll kind of go down the gamut to make sure that they're doing best practices before we create net new processes.
For digital, like how long have you been in business? And
So we've been in business for 11 years.
nice.
As of January 31st of this.
Congrats. That's a huge feat. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I love owning a business, and some days I'm like, I'm really tired. But I think what keeps me going is continuing to produce results for our clients and continuing to expand their businesses. And then also, I've actually enjoyed really getting a chance to like develop my team and like see them become better at it and see them kind of get a new passion for it. So for instance, one thing I haven't even brought up is it's called CRO, so conversion rate optimization. And that's like a little bit more of like a newer, the new kid on the block when it comes to digital, which is, it's the practice of taking the same amount of traffic to your website and converting it at a higher rate, right? So making some adjustments to the website to make it more conversion friendly. Talk about the objections that a client may be facing before they respond to you. Make it easier for them to book an appointment. Those types of things. And, we didn't offer that at first when we opened. And our head designer and I have worked together for probably the last 6 years in really getting a really strong CRO program in place. And it's exciting because she's so obsessed with it. And I love to see her adjustments that she makes as we get more and more data. So I actually one of my goals was to have a good team. So, it's almost like working in a lab, like a digital lab. Yes.
It's huge to have a team and have people on board that are that fit in with a culture. How did you create that culture, I guess? Just being as passionate as
We're passionate, but we're also a little quirky. My partner is also, he's our CTO, and he's just, he builds, cool processes. He built an AI chatbot for our team to utilize in case they should need it. We're just kind of a quirky group. And I know that COVID made it a little bit more difficult to achieve the culture that I wanted, but we still do happy hours. We still do get-togethers. I also fly the team in every year for a retreat that we do, and really getting to know each other, because that connection and camaraderie is so important. So nobody's really upset about a all expenses paid trip to San Diego. Nobody's upset about that.
Not at all. That's awesome. Well, you kind of mentioned AI. Is that something you would be comfortable talking about? Or I guess just are you leveraging it within your company to help you be more efficient and be more accountable towards the stuff that you're creating? Or is it?
Yeah, I would say we leverage it, but I want to be careful. It's a tool.
Okay.
It's a tool, and I don't think that I think some people think it's going to be a tool that replaces jobs. It will optimize jobs, but I don't necessarily think it's going to replace whole employees to some extent. Yeah. I think what's important to recognize too is that there is such a thing as creative destruction. And yes, it sounds like some jobs will be eliminated. I, as a business owner, have said to my team, it may slow down hiring for us because we can do more with the folks that we have, but I still think the people are what ultimately make it happen. Yeah, but AI is very powerful, and I do love it as a tool, and we have made custom GPTs and whatnot, and that's super awesome. But at the end of the day, I think you still need a human to guide that process, essentially. Yes.
Marketing is all communication and relationship driven and just synergy and behavior. So it's having something so robotic come in and control it doesn't feel natural. Yeah. But like you said, having it as a tool to help you be more efficient and optimize makes sense.
Yeah. I think, it does a lot of content writing, but it's not content writing that should be the end product.
No.
Yeah.
It's like a balance board right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's kind of how I use it today.
That's good.
Yeah.
I also don't, as a business owner, I will say that I don't like to jump into things too soon. I like to see how, and I think the majority of business owners are like this. They like to see how things kind of shake out. You've got your early adopters and whatnot, but I've found that, like, you know, when you're almost too early, like, there's so much movement and so much volatility that I don't want to lean fully into a process that may be gone one day. Because I expect ChatGPT to start, like, I mean, it is charging, but I do expect ChatGPT to slowly get us, you know, really addicted to it and then just jack up the price, right?
Yes. Or also like just sponsored responses. You know, that's already happening a little bit with Gemini, like the Google.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, ChatGPT said they do not want to advertise. Like, they're very adamant against that. And we actually had a blog post about how Google and ChatGPT kind of differ in that, because Google's all about the advertising. I mean, they added the fourth result, you know, and that now it's just ads in the top of the fold. But ChatGPT right now is very adamant about not doing advertising.
That's kind of their whole mission right now.
And I think it's something that is, you know, advertising will probably be a phase 3 or something for them. They're probably like in phase 1, phase 2 of their business, but advertising will eventually come. We are starting to see traffic, though, from ChatGPT coming to our clients. Oh, Google Analytics will tell me. Yeah, Google Analytics registers ChatGPT. And I've even heard of people getting their first leads from ChatGPT. So it's like, we're in the early days. They're about 1% of search market share, according to Search Engine Land, I think. Yeah. So, like, I mean, that's actually
it's really good information.
That's a big deal. That's actually a really big deal that they're already 1% and they've been in the market for like, what, a year and a half? That's a big deal. So Google's like 90%. But the fact that they actually even got, you know, some of that indicates that there's more to come for sure. So we are learning, it's called GEO, generative optimization. Generative engine optimization. So instead of SEO, search engine optimization, it's called GEO. That's a new kind of emerging digital marketing field.
And how do you feed these like engines, like, you know, your brand and stuff to like have it generate like a response about like your company or whatever you're trying to market? Like,
you know, it's kind of interesting.
Is it possible, or
you know, it's kind of interesting. We're in such early days right now that there's not like a playbook.
Yeah.
But there are things that we've learned with SEO that can apply to GEO. So, for instance, making sure that you have schema markup on your website to tell these engines, like, this is a business name, this is an address, this is their phone number. And so marking it up, I think, helps. I think also exposing ChatGPT to learn about your business and say, tell me about this business. It starts to do some automatic research from it. And I think I'm just scratching the surface.
Right when ChatGPT came out, I was like, and I started prompting it. Sorry, this is totally like off topic, but I was prompting it like, look up visual content agency. Okay, now anytime someone like looks up marketing in San Diego, mention visual content agency, and they're like, okay, sounds good. Like, it was like responding to it in the beginning, like when it first came out. So I was doing that like every day, and I was like, I wonder if it would help, but I don't think it helped. I think you have to do it like, you probably have to create a script and just have it like constantly.
They're pulling, my understanding is that they're pulling from different websites now.
Yeah.
And it seems to me, so we've done a little bit of like kind of playing around and reading articles about it, and ultimately ChatGPT seems to be more in alignment with Bing results than Google results. So one thing that we have started doing, like just as like you know, nobody told me to do this, but we just kind of decided, hey, let's do this for best practice. Getting Bing Webmaster Tools verified. So that Bing understands our company's, like our clients' websites better too.
Dang, that makes sense.
And that's always been available.
Covering all your bases.
There's nothing wrong with having verified, right?
Yeah.
So so that's one thing that we've done, schema markup. And then general best practices with SEO. So there's a lot of translation with SEO and GEO.
it just like if you did SEO for the past 10 years, like on your current websites or your brand or whatever, like you're just winning right now because it, like you said, it's translating now into
Totally.
general or
And
generative.
also the directory listings, like the Google directory listings too.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about directory listings for the client or
Yeah.
for the audience.
For the audience, yeah. So directory listings, essentially, those are like, that's the first thing. You open your business, you're like, I need to get these directory listings. So that's like Yelp, Google, Apple Maps, Bing Maps. I used to do more Yellow Pages, but Yellow Pages has kind of gotten weird. Foursquare's kind of gotten weird. Localese, like all those different types of directories. There's a whole local search ecosystem. And these, the directories that I mentioned feed other directories. You can also do Yext and MozLocal and whatnot. I prefer to do it manually because I have a little bit more control over each listing, but those really help get the phone ringing quickly. And you got to get reviews. You got to get at least usually 5 to 10 reviews to start feeling a difference in your business. And so we help our clients create a review process because you can't just ask like 10 clients one day for a review. Like you have to have a recurring process for getting reviews, asking for reviews, that type of thing. And that really makes a huge difference.
It's like step one in your process.
Yeah, it is because it's super important. But most clients come to us with some form of them done. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you just like what you know, I think we're kind of wrapping up here, but like just like what trends are you like predicting or like maybe, seeing right now in SEO and digital marketing? So you kind of mentioned the volatility and staying away from, fully engulfing yourself in like AI, but like what other stuff are you seeing right now?
We haven't talked a lot about like kind of the social media landscape necessarily, and I think there's a lot of volatility right now in social media platforms. Sometimes what I've noticed is it even seems like there's almost like a political divide right now between what platforms people are using. I want to say that diversification. That's what the industry is talking about. Diversifying your marketing strategy is really important. So don't just rely on Google. Don't just rely on Meta. Don't just rely on YouTube. You have to have essentially a backup plan. And the best backup plan, in my opinion, is email. It is actually email because that is the tried and true. And it sounds like I'm referencing like something archaic. Yeah, it sounds like I'm saying something very archaic, but it's not. Because when you actually collect your users' emails, you can actually import them to different social media platforms and invite them to that platform or target them. So it's not just email. It's also you can bring them to other platforms with you.
That list is so important.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. So that's.
And then understanding how to manipulate the list for like actual newsletter advertising where you're segmenting it.
Segmenting lists, yeah. And making sure that like we're not bombarding the world with too many announcements, but the announcements that you care about.
Yeah.
So
sorry to go back to AI, but I feel like that's where AI will actually flourish is like understanding these emails one by one and having conversations with these people more efficiently, just like on a one-to-one basis more so than like a segmented basis.
One-to-one always does a little bit better. So there is like one-to-one type email sending platforms too. Like you can do like a MailChimp where that's like the same message to the same 100 people.
Yeah.
And that does work. And there's metrics and benchmarks that we look at for success. But then there's also one-to-one outreach platforms where it's like Vincent is sending this to Darci and it's a one-to-one. So you can do all sorts of different things. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to mention, Darci? I always want to say thank you for being on the podcast, and it's great to hear all this information. I feel like it's going to help our audiences, learn a little bit more about us, and obviously want to plug in your company, your like LinkedIn, whatever your website, if you want to mention it.
Yeah, we're exploredigital.com, and ultimately we just love helping and building businesses and just looking to keep innovating.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Darci.
No
It was a
problem.
pleasure having you on, and hopefully we can do this again.
Super fun. I always love talking about the latest.